Obviously, for years, the A's have been trying to get a new stadium, whether it be at the current Coliseum site, the Peralta site, and of course, Howard Terminal. And although Howard Terminal is not confirmed yet, we have a lot of hurdles to overcome before Howard Terminal gets, we have shovels in the ground building it. It's not, it's never out of question to think about possible, like a wish list or things that we would love to have in the stadium. And I know Brody Brazil, he did a video about this as well, and I kind of made my own list. So I think I'm going to go ahead and, one by one talk about all the things I would like to be implemented into our future ballpark. I mean, of course, it's not confirmed yet, so I'm not going to, act as if it's already built. But, this thing is very close to being built. It's really the farthest we've ever been with an A's stadium in progress to having it built. And Howard Terminal, when this thing's built, it's going to change, the future of Oakland baseball forever. It's going to do so many things that open opportunities that weren't open before. And so, yeah, I'm going to get into my list of things. And before I do, I just want to say one thing. The Oakland Coliseum is a bad stadium in terms of, being outdated and infrastructure. But I want to just say I have so many memories there and I'll never forget it. But one thing that always bugged me about the Oakland Coliseum is so many different events and stuff would happen there that, such as Raider games, A's games, and then like other events such as Monster Jam and whatnot, that the A's never had a true identity there, or the Raiders for that matter, but specifically the A's because, they didn't move out of it like the Raiders did, recently. So there was never really a full team store year round. There was never, things that represented the A's truly. It was sort of like the A's were like living in an apartment. And they rented it. And so I think with Howard Terminal, that's going to eliminate all of that. It's going to be their home, their ballpark, and I'm completely happy with that. So I think now let's get into the things that I have thought about as my list. So the first thing, and I think this is kind of a no-brainer, and most stadiums do this, is statues. I think outside of the new Howard Terminal ballpark, I think it's a no-brainer that you have to have statues of certain Hall of Famers. I think, some that come to mind, I think you definitely have to have Ricky Henderson. I think it'd be cool if they had a statue of him stealing a base. I think Reggie Jackson would be a great statue. Dennis Eckersley, really any Hall of Famer. Dave Stewart could work, or of course Ray Fosse, somebody like that. I think really any Hall of Famer would be applicable, but I think honestly, if I had to predict, it would probably be Ricky Henderson or Eckersley, and I think that really adds character to the stadium. The San Francisco Giants have multiple statues outside of their stadium. I believe they have a Willie Mays statue right in front of their concourse, and so I think that would be really cool for the Athletics to implement that. So the second thing, and I think this is also something that would make the stadium really unique, is a museum inside the stadium. Lots of MLB stadiums have museums, not just baseball stadiums, but the San Francisco 49ers at Levi Stadium, although that stadium does have some backlash for the location, they do have a pretty cool museum in that stadium with memorabilia from, past championships. And I think if the A's could, put their World Series trophies in there, and, kind of go year by year and kind of have a timeline of their history to educate people and show their progression to this new ballpark and just all of their history on and off the field. I think that would be really cool. The A's are one of the most historical baseball franchises ever. So much history surrounding them. So I think a team museum, Hall of Fame museum, either or both would be awesome. A Hall of Fame museum kind of presenting the retired players that had their numbers enshrined. I think that would be really cool. And yeah, so the next one is a big one, high quality team stores. So right now the Athletics have, I want to say they have like 4 main team stores in their stadium. I go to all of them every game I go to, so I'm pretty familiar with them. And then they also have like the vendor stores that, are there. But the thing is, the stores, they have good merchandise and whatnot, but like I said, they're pretty tiny. They only let a certain amount of people in there at a time because it's so tiny. And the merchandise, it's like, it stays the same pretty much the whole year. So something you see on opening day is probably the same thing you're going to see on the last day of the season. And also, the team stores are not open year round. And part of that in the past was due to the fact that the Raiders shared with them and they were constantly changing things and they couldn't do that. Now, the San Francisco Giants and, the Warriors, for example, the Warriors, even when they're on their off season, they have their Chase Center team store open year round. I go to it often. And I think if the Athletics, they could really grow their brand with team stores, not just at the Howard Terminal ballpark, but for example, the San Francisco Giants have a team store in the San Jose Valley Fair Mall. They also have a team store. They used to have a team store in Walnut Creek, which is a smaller town in the East Bay. And the A's have none of that. The A's don't have any team stores, and I think really the Giants helped grow their brand with these team stores. Although there's few of them, they're still very cool. Despite not me being a Giants fan, I'm not a Giants fan at all, but I do take pride in seeing, Bay Area teams represent themselves not just in the city they're in, but sell merchandise outside of that city as well, and outside of their stadium. So if the Athletics could sell merchandise, in team stores and really brand themselves in a better way, I think, that would definitely be a good way to kind of just grow their overall status in the Bay Area, right? Because the Athletics are respected in the Bay Area, but a lot of people kind of overlook them because of the fact that they play at the Oakland Coliseum and they don't have team stores. So yeah, that's a big one. And really just the big one also would be expanding the team stores, make them big. We have this Howard Terminal Ballpark that, isn't the biggest stadium ever, but it's going to take up a lot of land. And so I think that is something they could build off of. The next thing is a revamped treehouse. So for those of you that don't know, the treehouse at the Oakland Coliseum is a party deck essentially, but it's like a bar with some games. It's pretty cool. It's something that they've added in the past couple of years. It's definitely made the Coliseum nicer. But of course, it's the Oakland Coliseum. Whenever they're adding new stuff in the Oakland Coliseum, it's sort of like painting lipstick on a pig, right? You're adding in cool stuff, but it's still the Oakland Coliseum. That's just what I tell people. And so I think really with this new ballpark, you have the sky's the limit essentially with what you can do with cool sections of the stadium. And I think a party deck or revamped treehouse, I think you could still call it the treehouse essentially, because I think that's very popular, would be great. A big bar, for maybe like the more casual fan, someone that isn't watching the game the whole time can go up there, get some good food options, play some, at the Oakland Coliseum, they have billiards, they have foosball, they have all these games, they have shuffleboard, they have all these cool things that you can play, and it's like, it really has character to the stadium. I love it. So yeah, one other thing I thought, and this is also relating to stadium infrastructure, is a viewing area outside of the stadium and around the downtown. As you can see on my shirt, there is a lot of there's gonna be like area around the stadium that is relating to the A's, like such as restaurants and skyscrapers that are, kind of all part of this one stadium. But one thing I really admire about the Warriors Stadium is you have this thing called Thrive City. It's sponsored by Kaiser Permanente, so it's Thrive City. And they kind of have this little like village type feel where you can still enjoy the Warriors outside of the stadium. They have a big video board. I believe they show games on it. I always see it when I'm walking in before the game starts, so I never watch games on it. But maybe fans that don't want to buy tickets to get in the stadium, they can watch the game from outside of the stadium at Howard Terminal. Maybe you put a big video board on it. They could do so much with that. Also, you put restaurants in down there, then you have a not just a stadium, but you have a whole community. So I think that would be amazing. And just the downtown would be great as well. The next one I thought, and I think definitely food is a big thing that needs to improve. The Oakland Coliseum is known to have pretty bad food options. They have improved in the past couple of seasons. I'd say, after 2018 or so, they got better. But I think one thing the A's could do with Howard Terminal that would totally make it, just really cool, and other stadiums do this as well, Giants do this, you add in local food tributes. So maybe you add in a concession stand of a local Oakland restaurant, and you kind of expand from that. The Giants have San Francisco style pizza in their stadiums. They have plenty of other things that are very San Francisco-esque, and the A's could do pretty much the exact same thing with Oakland tradition. Oakland businesses and restaurants could come and endorse themselves into this, and I think that would be very cool. The next thing is sort of a little bit more vague, but Oakland A's branding everywhere. I think that is a necessity. At the Oakland Coliseum, like I said, the A's, for many years were sharing with the Raiders. They were, the Oakland Coliseum was not really theirs. It was hosting other events, and the stadium, you go to it now and you see, there's cool A's posters and stuff. But it's concrete, and it's just not very visually cool to look at. And I think one thing you do with Howard Terminal that would be really cool is you put A's branding everywhere. You make this known. This is our home stadium. This is our first new stadium in Oakland, besides the Oakland Coliseum, really. So this is very meaningful. This is a big deal, and I think they got to make that known with A's branding everywhere, billboards, not just on the stadium, but you got to advertise everywhere that this thing is a big deal. The final thing I had in mind, but I'm sure there's plenty other ideas I'll have that'll come up, is displayed memorabilia around the stadium. So you have the team museum, but also you could have really cool, plenty of teams do this. The Giants and Warriors do this. You have like jerseys mounted on the wall. Maybe you have maybe a case with your World Series trophy. You have just memorabilia everywhere. Maybe a ball that was a home run ball or something mounted in the wall. That would be very cool. The Giants do this. Last time I went to a game at Oracle Park, I saw that they had, very cool like framed jerseys from like the 1950s. The A's could totally do that. But I think that's kind of wrapping it up. I think really all these things I have really could be a reality. I think really we just got to get shovels in the dirt and then talk from there. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I'll see you guys later. And let me know your ideas for Howard Terminal. The sky's the limit. We have this new ballpark plan and it just looks great. So let me know your thoughts. I'll see you guys later. And yeah, peace out.